We have to not be the Twitter page, the Twitter algorithm.
I just find it so funny. It's funny. A lot of it is funny.
But a lot of people don't understand like what goes into it. They're like, oh, we have this tech here, and they'll read an article, they'll read a paper, and they say it said so in the paper. Give that paper 5 years. It's gonna either be debunked completely, or they'll figure out that they fudged their data. The chances of a paper going from, hey, we have the potential to do this, to, hey, we have done this, it happens so rarely. I hate to be the buzzkill. Everyone thinks I'm the buzzkill.
I don't think you're being a buzzkill.
I'm a wet blanket on everything.
I think you're discounting the number of jobs that will go away now that basically anything that any computer job, any data input, any coding, which is huge, which, everybody thought those were going to be the good jobs. Those are going to go away. Because I think, I'm not an expert. I'd love to talk to a coding expert who knows what they're talking about, but it seems to me, at least,
they got the coding and they got the arts. And here's where my conspiracy comes in. And I've been saying this for many podcasts at this point, and I was telling you this yesterday, is that civilizations don't go under when there's a huge gap between the rich and the poor. Mm-hmm. They don't go under when there's a bunch of serfs and a few people at the top. They go under when there's too many laptop classes who don't have the money they think they should be earning. The petty bourgeoisie. This class
is that
of
different
people
from the middle class?
It's the middle class that hasn't been allowed to expand. So they're competing for the resources at the top. Mm-hmm. And that's when you get this class of people who's willing to take it all down, because they've been abusing the working class in this country for 50 years.
Yeah.
Absolutely just destroying them. But that wasn't the problem. What has popped off recently in the past 10, 20 years is more people going to college. More people taking on debt and thinking that they should be making $400,000 a year. They should be in the top 1%, which whatever happens. The cycle is the cycle. So I'm not mad about it at all. We obviously want to also be in the top 1%, But when you expand those people who think they should have access to the top of the top and don't give them access, that's when civilizations go under.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so they staved it off in the 1930s with the New Deal. Like the top of the top was able to share the wealth, and the taxation rate was super, super high because they realized capitalism is either going to fail completely or we're going to have to share. Right now, we're not seeing that sharing. We're not seeing the upper crust expanding to meet these new wave of college graduates.
Seeing hustle culture.
We're seeing hustle culture, but we're also seeing people who are taking out a lot of debt in the idea realms.
Right.
So they don't necessarily have a trade, and they don't necessarily know anything useful about the real world, unfortunately. And these can be like journalism majors. These can be like women's studies, gender studies majors, professionally angry majors.
How dare you?
Are you a women's studies major?
No.
Here, I am the most proud woman you could possibly imagine. I feel that men should be subject to women. I feel we should lord our power over them and do it in a nice way. Completely. I'm probably the biggest feminist you'll ever meet in your life.
That makes you trad now.
You have to delicately lord your power over men. Anyway, the problem is I don't think women's studies is a real major.
Yeah.
I think it's nonsense. I took a women's studies class in college. I think it was the biggest waste of time. I could not believe it was getting any of the air of the university. And I'm like, who are these people who are graduating in this subject that come out and now think that they should get a job? Who's giving them a job? Except people who already are indoctrinated into this subject. Because my class, I said something, I was like, okay, so if we stop being moms because that's stupid, and get rid of all of our children, who's going to take over the next generation? And the teacher yelled at me. She was like, oh, so you think we should just be breeders? I'm like, that's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying practically where are humans going to come from if we just decide to throw this all off? Women's studies is a joke.
Yeah.
is an absolute joke of a major. But they're graduating a lot of people in these majors. And we know people who are graduating in these fluff majors and they get out into the real world and then they become communists.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're like, well,
I did the thing. You told me to do the thing.
Pay me my money now. I should get a job.
Yeah. Which I don't, I get it. It's upsetting. Nobody should ever give anyone money, a ton of money. You should never give an 18-year-old a bunch of money to go be an art appreciation major.
Oh, man. Yes. I do know someone who got a ton of money for cultural criticism. Cultural criticism. I went to one university. It was, look, I was going through a lot when I was 18 years old. I was going through a lot. I don't want to go into it right now. I was going through a lot and I just wanted to get away and go to France. And I was like, wow, I can take out all this money and go to France? Look, girl, you can go to France. You don't have to go through university. It doesn't even occur to me. Whatever. I'm not going to go into it. So I took out a bunch of money. I go to France and all anybody is studying at this university is cultural criticism. And this is a university, they don't tell you because they want you to take out the money to go. But this is a university for rich people. This is a university for royalty. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to take out the money, great. That's fantastic. But they don't tell you, you're not getting a job with cultural criticism. So I know someone who had $200,000 in debt coming out of cultural criticism. But what do you do with that? Criticize a culture for a living? Right. You take down the system.
And in that instance, I'm like, that is the epitome of like, of course he should be able to default on that because it is the person who gave him the money. That was a bad investment.
Yeah.
That was criminal negligence.
Yeah, they need to change it so you can default on these bullshit majors.
Yeah, and it'll mean, the problem is it will mean that less people can go to college. And
less people need to go to college.
Certain people need to have the ability to go to college, but I mean, we haven't figured out a better way to test people for like, are you the kind of person who needs to go to college?
Okay. In the college thing, there's a lot of majors that don't need to be there. Mm-hmm. There shouldn't be college majors. You shouldn't. I don't mean to be this kind of person, but working practically, you don't need a film degree to work in this industry.
No, I agree 1,000%. State schools that have film programs, I think for the most part, sell that program on lies, and it is the definition of a scam. Because you know that you've got you have an audience whose parents told them they have to go to college.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you like movies? You want to make movies? It's like, you're not going to get anything with a film degree from a college that doesn't have a reputation. There's like 5 colleges that you should go to if you want to study film and make a run at it, I think.
Emerson will give you a hookup when you get out here. When you get out to LA, Emerson is in Boston. Emerson will try to job match you. And that's what it matters, is that you meet people. Mm-hmm. And if you don't meet those people, if you meet those people without the college degree, you're still fine.
Right.
It's that introduction. There's just not enough jobs. There's not enough jobs for all the film majors. And a lot of the film majors graduate, they don't know anything practical about working on a set.
Right.
So we don't need the film majors. We don't need most of and the same thing from the state schools. We don't need most of these journalism graduates.
No.
They're not going to get a job at CNN.
They're not.
There's not enough paying jobs in journalism for these people.
And the thing is, it's especially with like film and journalism and things like that. If you have the capacity to be really good at it in your program at your state school or, not elite university or whatever, you could just do that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know enough about journalism. I shouldn't even be talking about it like that. But film specifically, like take the money you were gonna take the money you were gonna put into going to college for film and just make some bad movies. Like that's such better use of your money.
That's how I did it. I made a
but you can't
movie.
Get money to do it. That's
make a $5,000 movie.
Yeah.
Make a $5,000 movie because your parents are scrabbling to put together a few $1,000s. You're saving up all your money. Just make a $2,000 movie.
But yeah,
make a short. Make
there
something
isn't
stupid
an
and small.
institutionalized financial product that will just be handed to you to make your movie, like college loans.
College loans, yeah, and that is the scam.
Yeah.
Because these people get out here, they don't know what a C-stand is. They don't know anything.
Nope.
And as far as the journalism majors go, that's still, who do you know? If you went to the right college, that can get you into the right thing. And even still, there's so much less money in journalism now. I guess there's money in shilling for Pfizer.
Sure.
If you're going to make money in journalism, you're shilling for Pfizer.
Sure.
And that should be made clear the day of, because they're the ones who are paying you.
And even
you're
still,
not a journalist.
You'll be very lucky to have the opportunity to shill for Pfizer.
Oh, yeah. You got to be a Vanderbilt to shill for Pfizer these days. Not just anybody can do that.
Or a Cuomo.
Or a
Remember Cuomo?
what were his qualifications?
He was
he's a
handsome.
governor's son, I guess.
He was handsome.
He was handsome.
He could do a lot of pull-ups.
Hey, this is a clip from my Patreon-only podcast. This week we talk about the LA Metro, some bizarre corners of YouTube, and as always, the collapse. Subscribe for more, if you want.